So the biggest threat to self-catering in general, and particularly in rural Ireland, is that a report was brought out in 2022 stating that over 10,700 self-catering units could be taken back into long-term accommodation, though most of these are in rural areas. So that is an issue which needs to be sorted. We have a register for short-term rental coming in, which is a very positive thing because everybody who's got self-catering will be registered on the system. But for us, the biggest threat for farmers is that they cannot get clear planning guidelines so they can diversify their family farm business. So diversification is a wonderful thing to do for farmers. It brings in income in the summertime, particularly, but it can bring income all year round. People want to go and stay on family farms. You may have one self-catering house, you may turn a barn into a few self-catering units, you may decide to do self-catering and glamping or other types of accommodation on the same site. It's a different way of earning an income, but we need clarity from government, particularly the Department of Housing, on the planning for farmers so they can get clear guidelines so they can get on with setting up their agri-tourism businesses.
I got involved in agri-tourism for two reasons. Firstly, to provide a supplementary income to the farm, and secondly was the house itself, which is a protected structure, needed to be preserved, and I felt the best way to preserve the house was through occupation, and the best solution to occupy the house for me was through a tourist accommodation let. The farm itself hasn't changed, although my work routine slightly has, because now I have to dedicate time to dealing with people who come, customers, and sometimes showing them around the farm, taking bookings, communicating with them. But as with regards to income, it has provided a nice supplementary income to the farm, but it wasn't without initial investment, of course. The biggest hurdle with both this thatched house and the other thatched house that we're working on is insurance. I currently can't put myself in a position to finish out the second house because I can't get anybody to quote me for insurance. The house itself was built in 3 different stages. The oldest part of the house is obviously the thatched section that you see here in front of us. And this goes back to, at the very least, 1833. That's when the tide valuations were done. I suspect that it goes back even further. I would say somewhere in the region of 1780. Our family is here about 100 years. And before that, it was owned by the Casey family. I think that over-regulation will make it harder for people to get into it, and as a result it's going to discourage people from an area where there is potential for supplementary income to farming. People can come here with a negative enough feeling of farming from a point of view of emissions or animal husbandry or whatever it is that they're reading about on the internet. And once they've spent an hour with me walking around on the farm, and sometimes it can run into 2 hours, and they listen to what it's like to be a farmer, the things that we're doing on the farm, the things that farmers do in general, not just me. They go away with a different view and a different understanding of where their food comes from and the amount of work and effort and science, I suppose, that goes into putting food on a supermarket shelf.